It's time for take two with Indiana Jones.
Whoa!
Now, what I actually mean by take two is that I did a video on this last night and then for some reason had audio issues. So I have to do the whole thing over from scratch because it recorded absolutely nothing. So it is something that we talked about last night because you are at fault for the dial of dysentery sucking. Well, at least you are if you believe James Mangold, the person who is now blaming fans for its failure, and just goes ahead and throws in that he will direct a Star Wars movie next. Of course he will. Yeah, those ain't happening. Absolutely will not happen. Not anytime in the future. So he is blaming the fans from the failure of the absolutely gigantic overspent budget. And he's also ignoring and dismissing all criticism of the Phoebe Waller-Bridge led film that also featured Harrison Ford. Well, there are many reasons why a lot of fans didn't show up, didn't like it, were skeptical in the first place, and they were all pretty much proven to be true. I mean, just look at that prick standing beside Harrison Ford and James Mangold. But also, James Mangold has now proven himself to be a prick as well. And Harrison Ford's just a funny old man. Just because he doesn't want to pay attention to this kind of stuff, here's kind of like the rundown of why a lot of fans were upset. With Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, you finally, okay, Indy has one last ride. You have a replacement. It's his actual son from him and Marion. You have a replacement. Whether or not you like Shia LaBeouf, I actually do like his performance. I think he's a pretty daggone good actor. He's just bat crazy. But you had Mutt coming up, and you're just like, you don't get to wear the hat. You have to earn the hat, which was, I think, a really great way of just leading into, okay, maybe if they decide to go on to the next one, he will earn that hat or some other version of it. Like, you never know. But we start out, time has passed. He's a broken old man awash in misery until a snarky brunette female, lesbian, might we add, the British accent that comes into his life to show him how inadequate he is. Yes, Mutt's dead. Marion divorced him. Great. He's back at square one in his 80s. That's exactly how we want our Indiana Jones, the intrepid adventurer that we all loved for decades. Sure. Yeah, James Mangold, that's totally what fans were like hyped up to see. Maybe this plucky British woman that towers over him, maybe that will reignite him. Nothing's going to reignite him. At this point in his life, nothing's going to reignite him. And I love the way that part place is framing this whole like build up into his actual quotations from the interview. Such according to Mangold, who by the way is slated to helm a big budget Star Wars project in the near future, it didn't bomb because of the script or the characters. Yeah, the absolute um decimation of a beloved character and a long lasting franchise, and like just as an inspiration to kids everywhere, be they male or female, tomboys, real men, just go play outside, hoof it in the woods, and also bring in archaeology and history and everything back to it, and just rip roaring time like the spaghetti westerns of old. It had nothing to do with what they did to the characters that everyone loved, even though they did those things. It certainly had nothing to do with his creative vision or the numerous reshoots, the giantly overspent budget, claiming falsely that they never took place. Well, that's interesting. So let's just go directly into what he has to say. You have a brilliant, wonderful actor who's in his 80s. That's also debatable. He kind of phones it in now, just like Ridley Scott, around the same age too. So I'm making a movie about this guy in his 80s, but his audience on one other level doesn't want to confront their hero at that age. No. Well, actually, yes and no. We didn't need another Indiana Jones movie. Nobody wanted this because we don't want to see him in the nursing home. Let him live and die in cinema. To be fair, That right off into the sunset at the end of The Last Crusade should have been the end of all of it. Don't make any more. I mean, we did have Young Indiana Jones, the TV series, and that was pretty good. I would even go so far as to say Kingdom of Crystal Skull, even though I would rate it like a 3 out of 10 just on a movie review. But at least if they were going to bring it back the way that they did with that, they gave him a proper send off. Like fan service, yes, but they gave a proper send off. He and Marion finally end up together. So going back to this thing, and James is like, hey, I'm good with it. We made the movie. So he's totally fine. He's totally proud of everything that he did. Well, good for you, buddy. But the question is, how would anything have made the audience happy with that other than having to start over again with a new guy? I already brought up Mutt. That was something that was left on the table, although most fans wouldn't have liked it if you did it well. You could have pulled it off. And then here comes lifelong heroes from my childhood into my life going, we have something for you to work on. So what he's talking about is big execs and everything. It's like, oh, I finally get to work for this company, Lucasfilm. It was a joyous experience, but it hurt in the sense that I really love Harrison and I wanted the audience to love him as he was and to accept that that's part of what the movie has to say, that things come to an end. That's part of life. Nice. Nice. So I guess with this out of touch guy who's been in Hollywood for so long and has had some pretty decent films, is completely missing is what made the character good in the first place. Why people gravitated towards him, why people wouldn't want to see another adventure just based on the story. It didn't really have to do with the age that much, although that's just something we could compound on top. It's about the story of Indiana Jones. So no, we don't want to see him dragged down to his core when he literally, I mean, even in real life, he can't fly a plane, but especially at this age, you think he's going to get to some like big old fight with a giant beefed up Nazi in front of like spinning propellers and everything like that. It's just not in the cards. And one thing that we also learned with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, when you start putting CGI into it and everything like that, and that's not what Indiana Jones was about. It was about the practical effects. You know, that bridge thing in Temple of Doom, I think they only got one take at that. And they had to do it for real. They nuked the bridge. So it's the practical effects and like the grittiness of it all. And that's what all these things are missing. Now they're relying on that little like hype John Williams music and simple things. You know, the old soundboards where the punch sounds are just like, psh, which was all fun and good whenever the movies were still fun and good, but they haven't been for a long time. And it's just you're milking a bull. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to milk a bull and pouring it straight into your mouth. But that's the last that I have to say about this for this time. What do you guys think? Is James Mangold completely sniffing his own farts? I don't think that blaming the fans for your film's disaster when they can objectively point out so many reasons why it failed, it's just not a good look. And yet you're still doing it in today's Hollywood. But if you have anything different to say, let me know in the comments down below. This is Multi from the GCA. We will see you on Wednesday. Late and gay with the GCA, our live stream. It's always a hell of a good time. And I love the way and I love the way that golly, word salad.